Hey,
Hey, Angie, I'm here for the listing appointment. Are you all ready?
yeah, come on in.
Okay. Is it cool if we sit at your table
I was
before we
thinking
get
the
walking
living room,
around?
but you want to be at the kitchen table?
Yeah, I got to write things and,
Oh,
and stuff. So,
yeah,
and
no,
my stuff's already here.
move my stuff off of the table,
Okay.
but that sounds good.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, Angie, I'm super excited to see your house and help you out.
Oh,
But
thanks. I'm excited about it too.
you never told me what makes you move. How come you're leaving
Um,
this place?
well, I think right now we're just super frustrated. We like our neighborhood and we just remodeled, but the fence has problems in the back, and none of our neighbors want to help pay to replace it. And so my husband just got a quote, and it's $25,000 to replace the fence. So we thought might as well just sell it, and I can put that money into a down payment.
Yeah, it's a huge down payment.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been here?
We've been here, I think, about 7 years.
Oh, cool. And where would you go? What's
Well, we found a lot that's up kind of by my mom's house. So we were thinking if we could get enough money out of this house. I'm not sure it'll work, but if we can get enough money out of this house, maybe we could buy that lot and build near my mom.
okay? That sounds like a great plan.
Awesome.
Let's do it. Why do you want to be up there? Just
Um, well, she's kind of funny. She doesn't really drive, and so it'd be put us close enough that we could walk. And it already has a fence, so I told my husband we wouldn't have to
save
pay
25
for it,
grand.
right? It's just a really nice neighborhood.
Okay. Well, let's get you out of here with the awful backdoor neighbors that don't share houses, fences, and into something nicer.
Awesome.
Okay, give me the quick tour of the
Um,
house.
so
Obviously, we're in the
not going to
kitchen.
walk through, but we're in the
Yeah.
kitchen. We would do a quick walkthrough.
Yep. Okay, what's your favorite part about the houses? Like when I'm marketing this to other buyers, what should I let them know about?
Well, I love our tri-level. I just love the kitchen. I feel like it works. It's kind of small, but it works really, really well. We just got it remodeled, so the cabinets are custom. It's got quartz countertops. I love my big, huge sink that we just put in. The floor is all that LVP waterproof flooring. I really like our master bath. It's small, but we were able to like pull out the tub. It's got a new shower in there. For the size, it's like a really good bathroom. And Courtney loves the backyard. We've got a volleyball net back there, and she likes that.
Okay. I'm taking notes if you didn't realize.
Okay,
But no one can read them but me,
fair.
because that's how I write. So I might keep taking notes or I might not, but just so we have it all here. So well, let's dive into the process. Have you ever sold a home before?
No.
Okay. And so you're kind of seen it from the other side while buying the home.
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier, but a little more stressful. But that's
Okay.
normal. So that's why I'm here to help walk you through this whole thing, make it smooth and easy. And I have this nice little packet.
Okay.
And our goal here, like it says, is to sell your home for the most amount of money possible in the quickest time with the least amount of headaches.
Well, I don't want to give it away. We just remodeled it.
Good.
Okay.
Let's get you a lot of money out of
Okay.
this. Okay. So I'm kind of gonna skip through a lot of this
Okay.
real fast, but I'm gonna leave this with you so you have it. I'm
Okay.
gonna cover things like we're awesome. I'll share this somehow with everyone on the screen. Maybe we'll talk about it after. We're awesome. We get a lot of reviews. Everyone loves us. Kind of an idea. So here's how it's set up is when you hire me, you're not actually just hiring me. I have a whole backing of a brokerage and a team that helps me out. So like the broker, if anything legal happens, boom, he's there to jump in. I have a marketer, a transaction coordinator. I have this whole team around me so that we can just sell your house the best.
Okay.
So we don't leave a single cent on the table and you're never in the dark.
Okay.
Is our whole goal. So it kind of gives a breakdown of everyone involved. And there's some people you won't even see. Like we have people that are prospecting our buyers to try to get them to come here. You'll probably never talk to that person, never see them, but they're working in the background for you. So first, I wanted to talk about where buyers find homes, and that's what our marketing plan is going to be. So I have this nice, pretty graph for you that kind of gives an idea. So actually right now, about half of buyers, the way that they find their homes is searching online. So that's going to be our biggest marketing plan is let's get you online everywhere. So we're going to do a lot of things like that. The first easy one is we're connected to every single website that has houses on it. If you can go browse houses, like not even just the Zillow, the realtor.coms, but everything. Like
Okay.
you go to like a random site like a angiefisher.com that has houses, boom, we'll be listed there. Every
Awesome.
brokerage. So it is literally thousands, probably even millions of sites your house will be listed on. Besides that, we're going to do the classified things, the people that are not looking on the right places, but are on like the KSLs, the Craigslist, the Facebook marketplaces. Those typically don't sell homes well, but we're going to be there just in case. You never know who's looking for a rental that maybe thought, oh, I could buy this house.
Okay.
So
Well, we
that's
look at KSL all the time, so I'm glad.
perfect. Yep, we're going to be there, and we try to post and renew that often so it stays to the top of the list, so
Okay.
you don't get buried down there.
Oh, awesome.
Next is social media. So we're going to do it a couple of different ways. So we have our team social media all posted on my social media, but we'll even arm you with some posts that you could make so it's out to your friends and family.
Okay.
And so, because that's another one of these little slivers we'll talk about in a minute. So everywhere that you can possibly find it online, we are going to be there. So the next big chunk, it's about a third of the people find their house through an agent, right? You already found your lot, but if you didn't, you and I would go shopping, and maybe I would find the house, maybe you would find the house online. So what we're going to do is, number one is we are at Keller Williams. Every Tuesday we have a meeting, and I will present your house to like 70 to 100 agents that show up. And I'm going to do it twice. I'm actually going to do it before we list. And I'm going to say, hey, I have this awesome home coming. It's amazing. You're going to love all of these things, blah, blah, blah. Then when it's actually online, if it hasn't sold in the first weekend, which sometimes happens, but it's not as common right now, then I will present it and show all of the pictures to everyone.
Oh, cool.
It will be on the MLS, so it's tapped into all of the agents. Every time we make a change on it, it's actually going to notify any agents that have buyers similar to that, that your home, something changed, the price, the size, the something. So every time we change something. And then the last thing is I'm an active agent. I'm not a just like put the sign in the yard and hope that it sells kind of a guy. I talk to agents often, and I'm actually going to reach out to a lot of my contacts and tell them that they should buy it.
Okay.
And even people that are showing other homes similar, what's this?
Totally was not watching.
People that are buying things similar, I'm gonna also recommend your house. So you're gonna get all that prospecting for the agents. Then the last few slivers that aren't really as important, 7% people say they find it through their yard sign or an open house. We're gonna do both. We have great, awesome.
I was wondering if you guys did open houses.
Yes. And it's probably going to be me, but it might be another agent. But they're awesome if it's not me. And we actually run a whole game plan around our open houses. So we're going to call all the neighbors, we're going to door knock, and we're going to put out crazy amounts of signs and even ads online, because we want to touch all of the other things that we were talking about, the online ads and all of that stuff to get people in. And then we'll do that the first weekend for sure. And then if we ever do price enhancements and adjust anything, it's a good idea to do that again.
Okay.
But as you see, that's only 7%. So that's the little one. 6% found from a friend or a neighbor. That's why we're going to give you some information so you can share on your Facebook. Maybe you're going to be the way to do it. 6% from a home builder. You're not a home builder, so that's probably not going to happen for us. 2% knew the owners. I don't know how that's different from a friend or family member, but it's going to be it. And 1% other. So our other is we actually send out a newsletter every couple of weeks to everyone in our database, which is over 20,000 people. So you're going to be featured as a featured listing that goes out to 20,000 people.
Oh, awesome.
So our whole goal is we want the most amount of people to see your house. So have you heard of anything like any other marketing that any other agents are doing that I didn't mention?
Yeah. So my neighbor, she had, they had just all of the real estate agents over for like a special open house
or they call that.
Okay. Yeah. Are you going to do that?
Typically homes don't sell that way very often, but if it's something that you're interested in, I'm 100% up for doing that. Because why not? Let's go get a feedback from a whole bunch of agents. Usually when I like to do that is if the home hasn't sold. Like if we're 2-3 weeks into it and it hasn't sold, but people keep giving us positive feedback, like, oh, I love the kitchen, I love the countertops, everything like that, but we don't get offers, like something's wrong and we need some honest feedback. That's where I get the 20 agents or whatever to walk through and tell me, why aren't people buying this house, or what should it?
Oh, okay.
And so we'll keep that in our back pocket, but it's definitely something we could do. Is there anything else?
No, I was hoping you'd do an open house, but it sounds like you guys will do that.
We'll do this.
Okay, great.
Okay, so does this sound like a marketing plan that would get your home sold?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Well, tell me about the pictures. Like,
Oh, yes. So we are going to come in and we are going to, well, let me even break down the whole process
oh,
for you.
okay.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to prep you and give you some time to clean up. We have these 3 ideas that you should depersonalize, deep clean, and declutter. And when that's all ready, that's when we do the photography. The whole idea is we want you to set it up like a model home. We do staging as well, but you have done an amazing job in here. It looks great. And so just these few little things that we mentioned during the walkthrough that you might want to do, depersonalize a few of these things, deep clean, and then declutter. I know people that will take out half the clothes in their closet and throw them in their trunk, just so the closet looks big. Like, just take as much stuff out as you want and throw it all in the garage. Garage don't sell houses. The house will sell itself. So if you need to just pile boxes floor to ceiling in the garage, that's fine. They'll just think that you're a pack rat. And besides that, the house will look amazing. So once you get these 3 things done, we will schedule a professional photo shoot.
Okay.
Because we want everything online to look the best possible.
Okay.
And so your home is amazing. So we're going to have them take pictures of everything, and they might show all of the things on the pictures, or we might have some little secrets. Like you mentioned, your kitchen sink being big and amazing. That might not be in the pictures, but when they show up, they're going to be pleasantly surprised that they have that. So we'll get a whole bunch of those. So they'll take pictures. I like to do that like Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
And then we will go live on Wednesday is kind of how it works.
Okay. When you
then-
say go live, then what happens?
Then we could start receive showings right there. And so how those work is you'll get a text message saying like, so-and-so Joe agent wants to show the house to their buyers at this time. And then you reply, Y for yes.
Okay.
And if you ever can't, you just text me and say, oh, I can't this time. And then I'll reach out to the agents. We'll coordinate everything like that.
Oh,
But I
do
want to
we-
go above and beyond. So when you're live, I actually want to kind of hold off showings and create some marketing, some excitement, some buzz around the house.
Okay.
I call it a grand opening.
Okay.
So we're going to get everyone excited when they see it online, but not let them see it until the open house.
Okay.
Because that way, when we have 10, 20 people show up at the open house, that it's going to be like almost that FOMO. Everyone's thinking that everyone else is excited about the house. And so they're going to feed off of each other. And hopefully we'll get multiple offers, all because everyone waited to go see it at the exact same time.
I don't know if you saw my neighbor down the street, though. They've been on the market a long time. You think we're going to be able to sell it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll talk about price in a minute.
Okay.
So if besides price, does this sound like what it would take to sell your home?
I think I trust you.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay, we'll talk about
sold
price in
my
a
mom's
second.
house. Of course, I had to call you.
Got to sell everyone's house in the family. So if we can agree on price, do you think you'd be ready to move forward?
Yeah, I think so. I think we got to get it on the market. I think we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I have 3 different, well, let's talk about price for a little bit, because there's a
Okay.
couple of ways you can sell your house and a couple of ways you can't. I'll show you what I mean. So I have this nice little chart here that's time versus money. So the longer that you hold something, actually, the more money you get. My very favorite way to build wealth is actually to never sell houses. It's to rent them out. And so if you were
What do you
able
mean?
to keep this house and put renters in it, that would actually make you the most money financially in the long run.
Okay.
Is that potentially a possibility? Would you even want to go down that road?
I think I'm not sure we can do it because I need the money if we're gonna build this house.
That's
But
the problem with
yeah,
most people.
yeah.
Okay, well, we can
Like I'd
keep that
love
as
to,
like
I
a
don't know if
maybe
I don't.
and
Yeah.
run numbers and see, because it's all about the numbers with that. And so if that works,
Okay.
great. And I won't even sell your house. And you're going to be like, why did you even come and tell me to sell my house when you're not telling me to sell my house? So that's my favorite. But because we can't do that, then we have a few different options with this.
Okay.
So our first one is an instant offer. To be honest, not many people do this, and you shouldn't. It is, I will send this out to my investors that I have, and they're going to want some sort of discount to buy it. And then they usually try to fix it up and sell it or rent it. But your house is fixed up. It's nice. It wouldn't make sense. Let's go get more money for
Okay.
it. So it's there. You can kind of time your move out a little bit easier, but you don't make as much money. So I don't want to do that with you. The next I call is the premium listing. This is everything that we've talked about. We're going to list at the best price for you and get you the most money possible. Now, there's two other options. Fix and sell is where I would go through and tell you everything that you should fix and even give you people to help fix it. And if you needed to, I could loan you some money to get these fixes done. But you've just remodeled it. So our premium listing is probably more higher price, like this is showing with the fix and sell. You don't have a lot to do. So we're good there. The next one is kind of a hybrid between selling and renting it. It's called seller financing. So this is where someone would say, hey, here's a chunk of money, like maybe $20,000 or $30,000 that you get, and then you become like the bank to them. And they make payments to you every month. And we would just coordinate that the payment that you receive is higher than your mortgage payment. You don't have any obligations to the house. You keep paying your mortgage, but they keep paying you. If they stop paying you, you foreclose on them and you get the house and you keep all of the money.
Complicated.
It's a little more complicated. You make a little bit more money, but the house is still here with you and you don't get all of the money out of the house.
Yeah.
Is that even something you'd want to go down the path?
I don't think so. I think if we can get enough money here, I was talking to Matt, and I think what we'll do is we want to try and do an apartment in our basement, so I can still have something that I can rent.
Then you get that rental.
Yeah,
I like this
I
plan.
think I think we need the money. We don't have enough for a down payment.
Okay, premium listing. Let's just get you the most money possible as soon as you can.
Okay.
Okay, so I have three options here.
How much do you think?
We'll go over this. Okay, we're going to go house by house of what's sold in the area.
Okay.
And I want you to kind of keep something in mind. There's really the three big ways to sell it. Okay. I call it the multiple offer strategy. This is where whatever the market says your house is worth, we list it a little bit below that. Not that we're going to accept an offer below that, but we're going to say, hey, everyone come to this house. It's a great deal. And then we're going to make them bid each other up. Okay. And often it gets to market value or a little bit higher. Okay. I love that strategy. It moves very quick. It's kind of stressful, kind of crazy, but you get all of the showings all like in a weekend, and then we're accepting offers. Okay. The other is we try to match exactly like the appraised value. So we'll go through the comps and figure out what we think the market value is and see if and list it for that and see if we can get an offer for that. Okay. The last one I call California cash. It never works, by the way, but we list too high and hope that someone just comes and loves your house more than any other house out there, and they have a ton of money and they just pay for it that's over market value. Yeah. Most people, and what we try to do most times, is list it at least at the price or a little bit lower. Okay. Because what would happen, as you can see in this graph, we get the most activity in the first couple weeks. And then it kind of trails off unless we do price enhancements, like lower the price down and things like that. So if we price it right in the beginning, we're going to be getting offers around there. The longer we wait, people start to think like it's like this sounds bad, but we're in Provo. Like it's like those Provo people that are in their late 30s, never married. What's wrong with them, right? So we don't want that. We don't want to be the single 35-year-old Provo bachelor.
I'm wondering what's wrong with my neighbor's house. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the goal. And then you'll see right now kind of the market is the average agent's about like 98%. So whatever you list it for, you'll get 98% is average. Last year we were 99.3. So we were a little better than average. But most people are offering just a little bit below.
So we probably aren't even gonna get our list price right now.
Maybe. If we
Okay.
list a little low, we'll definitely get higher.
Okay,
And if we list right on the market, it might be a little bit. So let's dive into some of these. I printed off, and I'll leave you with this.
awesome.
I
Now
printed
we'll
off
go back.
some of these comparables. So you can kind of see here, and this is all jumble. You probably won't understand most of it, but there's a few things that I want to show. So like here's one of the houses in the neighborhood, a little bit bigger. It's like 1850 square feet. It originally was listed for 450. In 21 days, it sold for 435.
Okay,
Is kind of the idea. And then you can see, oh, I forgot where they put closing costs. Did I throw that page away?
now let me think. Oh, there we go.
Oh, and then they had to pay $7,000 in closing costs to the buyers.
Okay,
So that's kind of where we're at. So we're a little bit smaller, but you just updated everything, which is good.
Okay.
You look at the lot, we're about the same size. And so kind of our first
it
good
was built
comparable,
94. Okay.
Yep. And it's a single level.
Okay.
There weren't very many tri-levels. The good and bad about your neighborhood here, there's not a lot of things for sale. So
Okay.
anyone wanting to be in this area, you're going to be one of the few besides your neighbor that's way overpriced.
Okay.
This other one, also single family, real similar size to you. They listed at 464 and then sold for 439. It was on the market for 18 days. And they didn't have to pay any concessions. So like this, the concessions just minus right out of like what you net, so to speak. So 440 is kind of what we're thinking right here for a similar size, similar lot.
Yeah, we
kinda
do have
house.
an extra half bath, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but
they're about the same.
so this one's probably our best
Well,
comp so far. Yeah, I mean they don't have a basement, but same size house. So 440 is kind of what I'm thinking this is telling us. Our next one, 459, sold for 450 in 30 days, 0 concessions. This is sounding great. It's actually a little bit smaller than your house. Same size yard though. So this is probably a great idea for a comp
Awesome.
as well. So 450, 440 is kind of what we're thinking. I have a few more, sorry.
Oh, no, it's great. This is
Yeah.
so interesting.
So this one, they listed for 460, but actually sold for 471. So they went a little bit lower and got multiple offers. They actually
Wow.
sold by cash as well. So the whole idea of California cash maybe worked for this one. I think it was
Well,
multiple offers that bid them up
yeah.
because they were only on the market for 4 days.
And so
Here.
it sold for more?
Yep.
Okay.
Let's up and right in the microphone. So 1692, so it's right about that same size as you, same everything
Okay.
here. So another great comp for us.
I didn't even know I had this many
Look
single
at-
level houses in
I
the
know.
area. Holy
I know.
cow.
I got 2 more for you. So 450 is what they listed for, sold for 462.
Okay.
So again, they, I think,
Built in the
reading that wrong?
90s too.
That's
Oh.
so strange. On the market for 104 days,
California.
and
And then
it's
sold for 462.
oh, I would got that back. Okay,
Oh, and
listed for 469
And they paid 10,000 in closing
and
costs
10,000 in
or in
closing costs.
concessions.
Yep, that's becoming more and more common. So we'll break that all down. They're a little
Okay.
bit bigger, about the same size yard, built about the same time. So that 462 probably a little high for us.
Okay.
Then we're here listed at 479, sold for 467. Again, 6,000 in concessions, like I said, super common, and about the same size and everything. So
Awesome.
kind of seeing this all laid out,
Mhm.
all these numbers, what do you think that your house is worth?
Well, I don't know what they look like, but this one looks like it's remodeled.
Yeah, and I try to grab very similar, kind of fixed up,
Okay.
not too bad, so we didn't have to look at too many pictures. Obviously, everything's different. What's your gut saying?
I think we're probably like 460.
460?
Yeah, these
Yeah, I
guys
was
are a
gonna-
little small, like that neighborhood over there. But these guys, this one was 470, but they
Yeah.
started at 460, and this one sold at 460.
Yeah, and we had one that
then
sold at 440, so we're kind of a little
467. So I'm kind I don't know. I think, yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking we're probably right in that 450, 460 range.
Okay.
And it just depends on, do we want to try to be a little bit below the market and get everyone really excited and try to get multiple offers, or start at 460 and then move our way down if we need to. And here's the good news is whatever we decide, it's not permanent. So there's different levels of it. So if we put the home on the market, let's say we listed for 500, which as you're seeing here is probably too high.
Yeah.
Would you see a house that's overpriced? Like, would you go walk through a house if you saw it and you're like, wait, everything else listed at 500 is bigger? Or
I might, but I'm nervous because we talked about being able, I thought we might be able to get 475 for it. So I'm a little nervous that we might not be where we're supposed to, but 450 seems crazy. I think it's probably, I don't know
yeah,
if we
I
can make it happen.
yeah, I think well, looking at your home and what I've seen with these is I think you might be able to get a little bit more than 450.
Okay.
But so
I
what we'll
trust
do is
you, but
if we start and we're not getting showings, that's the market telling us that we're off, because no one's coming to see it. So either the marketing's bad or the home is priced wrong. Those are really the two things.
Okay.
Marketing and price. And so I'm going to run my game plan that's been worked for your mother.
Okay.
So if that's working, then great. So if we don't get showings, we're too high. If we get showings and no offers, we're probably pretty close, but we're still a little high and we'll have to come down. If we get a bunch of showings and multiple offers, that's the best idea, because then we'll get them to bid each other up. We'll
Do you
say,
think, so what would you price it at? If it was your mom's house, what would you price
if
it
it was
at?
my mom's house,
Yeah.
and knowing what I know from you is we're between this 450 and 460, I would go the low end, 450. Not
Okay.
thinking that that's all you would get,
Okay.
thinking that we'll get a bunch of showings, and then if we get multiple offers, it will bid up.
Okay.
Because what we're doing is we're trying to read the market here. Because it's not my price, it's not your price, it's whatever someone's willing to pay for it. So the more people we get into the house, the bigger our chances are for someone willing to pay the most for it.
Okay.
Does 450 sound?
I think we can do it.
Okay.
Well, we at least try, right?
Yeah. Well, and let me break this down for you here. How do I add a page?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, you get to see all my notes here. So if we list at 450, you have a couple of costs here.
Okay.
As you notice, there was a lot of different concessions here. The worst case scenario is 3% is the most that someone would ask for you for concessions, but this is all negotiable. So worst case is 13,500. Now, when we looked at all the comps, no one did that. There was a 6, a 7, and a 10,000. I think we're probably going to be somewhere around there.
Okay.
So I think we call it about 7,000 just to be conservative, work that in there just in case.
Okay.
The other thing is title insurance. When you sell a house, every single person needs to buy title insurance. You're going to buy it for the buyers are going to buy it for the lender. And there's no way around it. There's no negotiating. You have to do it. And a house like you're probably going to be like $2,000 or less. And I'll get exact numbers of it. We'll just ballpark it here. The other thing that is very negotiable, wait, 2,000, how much? 1,600 square foot? $2,000. Okay, look at that. It's like I have a title company chirping in my ear here in our listing appointment. So about $2,000. The other thing is some buyers are asking for home warranties. It just kind of more peace of mind. They're
What
like,
is that?
if anything breaks in the first year, like your furnace goes out, those kind of an idea, the home warranty company pays for it. It's kind of like insurance, but a lot of things that homeowners insurance doesn't cover. A lot of buyers are asking that. I like to include it in my numbers just so we give you the worst case scenario, and then we can negotiate that out. And so those are between $500, $600. I'll put 600 to make my math more difficult. Then the only other costs are you need to pay me and the buyer's agent. And so how that works in our premier listing is it's a 3% listing. And so that goes to pay me, and then we will pay 3% to the buyer. Now that we could change, but I suggest that we leave it at 3% because
So is that 3% total you're saying? or-
3% of the purchase price
Okay,
to me and 3% to the buyer. So
Oh,
so we're
so six,
6%
okay.
total.
okay.
Yeah. And how it really works is you would pay me 6% and I would pay 3% to the buyer.
Okay,
But if I bring my own buyer, we'll actually lower that down.
okay.
Or if the buyer is unrepresented, we can lower that down as well. So like
Okay.
one of your friends, your neighbors want to buy your house, like that can go down.
Okay,
But otherwise it's 3 to me, 3 to the buyer's agent.
okay.
How's that sound?
I never sold a house, so I guess that's how it works.
Yeah. So the math on that,
Those were my exact words the first time I sat with an agent that I was like, didn't have a clue.
so if we do everything right here, and I'll send you these numbers again, just so you can get an idea. Our worst case scenario, if we were to sell the house for $450, is you would walk away with $413,400. Do you have a mortgage on the house?
We do. We owe 250 on it.
Okay.
And so we were hoping to get 200. What would that do?
We're 163,
Okay.
400.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was so much. Okay. Well,
What was your plan for the 200? Why the 200 number?
because we were trying to get 20% down for our next one. We didn't want to have to pay the mortgage insurance.
Yeah.
Hard to hear you.
I was hoping that we would get 20% down for our next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't want to do mortgage insurance.
Oh, yeah. Well, so what we could do on that next one is we could actually talk to the lender. And what I did on my house is I wrapped my mortgage insurance in my rate. So I don't
Okay.
have mortgage insurance and my rate only went up just a little bit.
Okay.
And it seemed to make sense. I ran all the numbers with the mortgage guy. I'm not the mortgage guy. So we looked at it and I ended up putting 10% down because that put more money in my pocket and my
Okay.
payment was still decent. And I was able to do it with no mortgage insurance. And so we can play around all with the numbers there. And then you don't have to pay your 25 grand to build a fence.
That is true.
Be close to your mom,
Yeah.
walk, and everything like that.
And we'll finally have that third car.
Third car
Garage.
garage. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I've been parking in the snow because all my kids' bikes. It's the worst.
Okay.
So does this sound like a game plan? Should we get going?
I think so.
Okay. Well, then what we'll do is today's Thursday.
Okay.
Do you think you could have everything decluttered, deep cleaned, depersonalized by Monday? Give you the
Yeah. I
weekend.
mean, I think we're pretty ready.
Okay. I was gonna say your house looks great to me. So these
I've
few
been
little
cleaning all
checklists.
week since I told you we were going to do this. So
I just assumed you were just this organized. So I'll start the whole process. Here is the paperwork that gets me to work.
okay.
And it's like we talked about everything here. I'm going to sell your house. If you're ever not happy, like even though this seems like a serious agreement and everything like that for us, I operate on an easy exit clause.
Okay.
So if you're ever not happy, just tell me and we'll just rip up this agreement and stop selling your house. No extra cost, no anything. You
Okay.
just, that way you know you're getting taken care of. And if you ever feel like I'm doing a bad job, you can fire me.
Well, I hope we get more than 450. I mean, let's just try.
Let's do
Honestly,
it.
I feel like we're supposed to make this
The
move.
good news is I've never left money on the table
Okay.
because I've always been able to work with the buyers to bid it up.
Okay.
And so we're not gonna like all of a sudden hear that someone's willing to offer 500 or something crazy for it.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, let's get it started. When do
Okay.
you think the photographer will be here?
I'll call him and after this and we'll touch base tomorrow,
Okay.
probably.
Oh, I forgot to ask you, like,
yes.
can we're not supposed to be here for showings, right?
Oh yeah. So in this, it has a whole bunch of information like that. The whole process, communication. So when you should not be here for showings.
Okay.
And then I will actually ask for feedback from everyone. So don't
Okay.
worry about anything like that. We have little leave behinds for them. They'll probably leave a card on the table to let you know that they're here. Some agents do, some agents don't. You can just throw them all away. I have all their info anyway, so I'll follow up with them. As I hear any sort of feedback, I'm just going to tell you.
Okay.
And I probably am not going to filter it.
Okay.
So sometimes agents are like really mean, but it's just because they're just trying to type a quick feedback. Sometimes agents tell us nothing. So sometimes you'll have a bunch of showings and not hear how it went. That means nothing. Sometimes you're going to hear honest feedback. Sometimes you're going to hear that someone's interested and will make an offer.
Okay.
So either way, I'm going to keep very in contact, and then we're going to have a plan. So in 3 weeks from our list date, so 3 weeks from Wednesday, if we don't have an offer, we need to have another conversation about price because we got the numbers wrong.
Okay.
So if that happens, we'll talk and see what we can do.
Okay.
If not, we'll just keep running, get an offer, keep that marketing machine going.
Awesome.
You ready?
Sounds good. Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
Fantastical. I know I'm like, no. All right. So I feel like,
every situation is so different. So I think that it's just so hard to know because you might walk into a house where really they called you and they got ready and they thought you were coming with a camera. Like you will walk in sometimes and then you'll walk in other times and you just have to know that, or months, or I've had a listing agreement for a year. And so in that situation, they really did. They pulled out the flooring. They wanted to do the work themselves. They wanted to paint the mantle and do the things. And it was a long time. So it just depends. I think too, your biggest bang for your buck is always going to be your 3Ds. Okay. So when people ask me, should I change my carpet? Should I change my counters? I always say, only after you've taken care of the 3Ds, because those are going to be free and they're going to get you the very most bang for your buck. The 3Ds are going to be, you're going to deep clean, declutter, and depersonalize. So it's likely you're going to need to take at least half of what's in here out. So it depends because every situation, people are so different. We just don't know. Like even if we look across here, none of you guys look the same. You guys all chose different outfits today. You chose to do your hair different. You chose different shoes. The same as when we go into somebody's house, everyone shows up so differently. Chris had a question.
Angie, have them have a mic.
I'll repeat it. Oh.
Or price. Have you ever found someone that you didn't want to work with?
So Chris's question was, do you ever have people push back on doing the work or the price?
Yeah, I have a strict policy that I don't work with jerks. So if they push back in a nice way, I'm okay with it. And we can talk about it. Cause like sometimes you walk into a house and it smells like a dog and you're like, this is going to be the problem. Really, it's cats that are the worst. But you walk in and like, if you were to change the carpet, keep the dogs or the cats out as much as you can, like that would probably benefit you. The other option is its price, right? How much does it cost to replace all of the carpet? Can you just lower the price that much? And that's where you get into a little bit of a battle. But if you get pushback, I think that's just, there's two, you can either overcome the objection now or wait until you have an army of feedback of like, oh, everyone says it smells like dogs and you need to replace the carpet. And then you can say, should we take a pause and replace the carpet? Or do we want to lower the price 15 grand? Because that's what it would cost you to replace the carpet.
And you might also want to decide, is it worth working with them? So there is that challenge because you might put a lot of time and money and effort into the listing. And let's say the market value says that it's at 450 or 500, but they want to list at 600. And that's their number. Lucas and I went through the same scenario on one. So the question is if they're like, well, I just want to list it at 600, even though I know that's what market value is, I want to see because I need the money or because I don't need the money. I'm not motivated. I'm fine. I can let it sit on the market. Then you as the agent have to decide, is it worth putting the sign in the ground and putting the time and money into it? Because it might. You have the opportunity to learn. You have the opportunity to get a sign in the ground. You have something to market, but you also have to have the realization that the house will sell for market value. And so you're deciding the amount of risk you're willing to in the beginning. I think it's not the most horrible thing because you're getting a listing and you're getting practice, but there'll be a point in time you're like, is that worth it? And decide, can I do that?
When I always like to add, like, okay, if you list at 600, what's your game plan if it does not sell at 600? Are you going to bring it all the way down to 500 where we think it should be listed? Are you going to just scale it back $5,000 at a time? Like what's the game plan if the market rejects it? And then if they're like, no, it has to be at 600, it's like, well, then maybe it doesn't work out.
So it really depends too. The same thing, if it was a really super nice person, that might be different than if it is a jerk and what it looks like. But your most motivated, qualified buyers are going to be out in the first 7 to 10 days. And if we're at the wrong price, we're going to miss them. And the problem is if the condition is off when we first go out on the market, those first motivated, qualified buyers that come out in the first 7 to 10 days, if we haven't cleaned the house and it smells like cat pee, the problem is when we get that feedback, those most motivated, qualified buyers aren't coming back once we fixed it. Okay. They're not coming back the second time. So we get one shot to go on the market. So we need to make sure we are priced right and in good condition. So are you guys with me? Can we so that's usually how let's do it, guys. We get one chance. Let's make sure we're 100% ready before we go out.
Okay, this was not my listing, but it is a house that was in my neighborhood that has been now listed twice. And we have a ton of real estate agents. It's a house that was listed for $1.5 million, almost 20 years old. And it got listed in 2019. Also before COVID hit, they listed it for $800 and something thousand, 6,000 square foot house, half an acre. Okay, great. I live in a really nice neighborhood. Mine's a tiny house in a big neighborhood. Didn't sell then. And I know this lady, she's my hair client and stuff. And I know her. It didn't sell. All the feedback was basement needs to be finished. Okay, well, it didn't sell, pulled it off the market. And so then it doesn't sell then. They don't finish the basement. So 2023 comes along. So let's put the house back on the market and list it for $1.5 million because that's a good price to put your house that didn't sell. Still didn't finish the basement. They made a theater room, fixed a deck. It's now 4 years older. It's all brown. Nothing's fancy about it. Nothing's been remodeled. Nothing's been updated. Got listed in March. Sat. They dropped it to it was 1.49, so 1.5. So they dropped it to 1.3, dropped it a little bit more, sat. And the lady who listed, one of my neighbors also, 20 years doing it, sitting, lots of open houses, sitting some more. And I asked her, hey, so what's your plan? What is your plan if your house doesn't sell? Well, we'll just pull it off the market in December. So it sits, they have open houses, 3 offers for 1.2, which, by the way, I looked up to see how much they paid for it. It was $450,000. And I asked her, well, what's your plan again in November? Their plan was if it didn't sell, they were just going to pull it off the market and finish the basement and put an ADU in there. So
all of the challenges is not even the house, right? It's
the
home or
people.
condition, it's motivation.
right.
It's always coming back to where are you going? Why is that important to you? Should I be doing that? And it is
And
either
they don't need the money.
and it's either price or condition. At the end of the day, it's always going to be price or condition and deciding, is it worth it? And it may not be. That's the hard part is it's going to be one of those two. And the problem is we can pick this price too, but at the end of the day, you don't pick it. I don't pick it. The market is going to tell us. So even though you think your house is worth $600,000, let me ask you, Cameron, if you bought Apple stock yesterday for $75 a share and you would like to sell it today, but the stock went down to $60 a share, how much could you sell the Apple stock for? $60 a share. Well, the thing is the real estate market changes every day too. The homes that come on the market change, the buyers that come on the market change, the homes that sell change. Every single day it changes. So let me ask you this, seller, if your neighbor listed their house at 439, do you think it would impact how much we could list your house for today? It would. And so we don't actually know exactly what we're going to list at until the day we list, because it changes every single day. And so at the end of the day, we just have to listen to what the market is saying. And so it sounds to me like you really want this new house and you want to be by your mom. So is it worth it for us to just try? Why don't we get the ball started? Are you ready to put me to work? Those are phrases that I think it's important you guys hear. Are you ready to put me to work? Are you ready to get the ball started? Those would be way better than sign here, right? Like you were like, so are you ready to get going? Should we do this? Those are things that just make it easy. And I think they're really good for you. What other questions? We have time for a few more. Any others? Any others? Do you got questions? Yes.
How long did it take you seasoned professionals to feel comfortable in a listing presentation?
I got more comfortable when I took bold and I had to write my own listing presentation, and then I had to practice with somebody. We do the same listing presentation. So glad I'm here. Can I sit at the kitchen table? A couple of things I want to point out that maybe you guys didn't see or that are game changers. And we only learn this from making mistakes. We are at the kitchen table. Do you remember when we went to your appointment? It's so important. Somebody's going to be like, come on in, come sit in the living room. Don't sit in the living room, no matter what. Deals are done at the kitchen table every single time. Deals are done here. We are talking, we are chatting, we're enjoying each other. We're not doing business. So you will always have this much space between you and somebody in the living room. We're doing business. And that was really challenging for me to learn. And especially just, it's going to sound so silly because I hate to say it, but a lot of times too, when I would walk in and a husband wants to be in charge of the room, they will highly encourage you to be in that living room because they're controlling the situation. And it's the easiest thing to just say, hey, do you guys mind if I set my stuff at the kitchen table before we do a quick tour? And you just keep walking straight to it and set your stuff down. And you will only know when you've made the mistake. And I'm sitting in a living room and I can tell I can't get the agreement signed and I can't get there and I can't, like, I can just feel it. And it's just happened time and time until finally I was like, okay, they taught me to just go to the kitchen table. Yeah. And then just politely just be like, hey, why don't we go ahead and set my stuff here? And then you guys can take me on a tour. So I think this is key that I just wanted to make sure you guys caught that. That was a super important part. What other things do you want to highlight that we talked about?
I'm a big fan, and I only did one of these, but I wish I would have done more, is like almost doing your listing presentation in compartments is the word I guess you want to do, and get an agreement. So like the one thing, like, does this sound like a marketing plan that will get your home sold? When she said yes, I knew we don't have any objections about marketing. I can talk about whatever else I want now. Is this the price that you want to list at? Great. We have no objections about price. So like, if you can think of like sections of your listing presentation and then do like tie downs or agreements, then you have overcome any objections. And if anything comes up, then you can always just come back. So if the objection's like, oh, well, how do showings work? Great. Here's how it is. So are we good with this listing plan? And just keep going back until they say yes. Otherwise, you might have an objection about the listing or the marketing or something like that. We have lost listings for the dumbest reasons. Home warranties. Did you know that you can get a free home warranty on your listing? We lost the listing because we didn't mention it. We do it, but we didn't mention it. And so little things like that, like if we would have just closed him and said, do you have any questions or any problems? Did this sound like the plan? Are you ready to move the ball forward? He would have been like, what about a like home warranty? Oh yeah, we'll get you one of those from day one as soon as your house is listed. You would have listed with us rather than a different agent. Yeah.
Pass around. Find the other one.
I'm just wondering if you go over the listing agreement with them as well and have them sign it while you're sitting there, or do you send it to them? Do you have any pushback after the presentation with that normally?
I like to do it in the listing agreement because then I know that I'm walking away with an agreement. A lot of agents will like DocuSign it over after the fact,
Don't.
but don't. It's real easy
Your
to
risk
have it
goes
all.
up that something else will happen between. They talk about it, something
Yep.
goes on.
Yep.
You're right there.
And I have it pre-filled out. 3% to me, 3% to the buyer's agent. It is there and it is typed, it is not written. And so if we're changing it, then I'm literally crossing it out to put a different number. Be like, and I'll even mention like, oh, this is so strange. I never changed this. Like little things like that to make them feel like this is weird, and write it in, make them initial that we've changed it, things like that.
I like to have it pre-filled out too. I just don't have really great handwriting. So I have all the address in there that I can. I have all that ready to go. I've pulled the names from title. They've given me the names as to who's on title. So I know I've got the right people on there. One thing I like to do is when I start to talk about the schedule, I actually flip to the back side of the listing agreement. So I have it with me. We're not going over it, but I flip to the last page of the listing agreement. And so for me, I'm like, okay, so today is Thursday. I like to do photos on the weekend. Do you guys think you can be ready by this weekend or next weekend? Perfect. So you guys want to do photos next Saturday? And I put the day, I just write at the bottom of the page. I'm like, great. So photos we do on Saturday, and then I get them back by Monday. We go live on Tuesday, so I can present it live in team meeting up on a big screen in front of everybody. Then we'll hold showings Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then let's do an open house Saturday. And I just start putting the dates in there. And I'm like, does that sound good for you guys? Awesome. Are you ready to get the ball started? Great. Then I flip to the front of the listing agreement, and I'm like, perfect. So this just allows me to go to work for you guys, and we run through kind of the basics of it. This is our brokerage fee. This says, it talks about agency. So it's kind of like the buyer broker agreement. It's just opposite. I run through that with them, and I'm like, perfect, let's get this in. And then I'll send you guys a scanned copy of it when I get back to the office. Yes, Natalie, which is very similar to our appointment, huh?
I'm going to brag on Angie for a minute because she went with me to my first, and we sat down, and we had a very reluctant husband, very reluctant. He wanted to move, but he didn't want to move. So we got there, sat down, and he's kind of Eeyore-esque. Angie can agree with that. He's kind of, whatever. Nice guy. But we sat down and we got there and we're going through the things, and he's like, wait, what? I have to clean everything. Oh, okay. Yeah. And our biggest thing was on the 3Ds. And after we noticed that, when I was showing houses, I was like, holy crap. Because Ange was like, your house is cool. Your house has got so many great decorations and lots of cool antiques. And we're like, and that's what she said. Your house is cool, but she wasn't looking at the house. She was looking at all their cool antiques because they had the neatest crap ever in their house. And that was the problem, was we had to have them basically get rid of 90% of their house because it had so much cool stuff in it.
It was easy to say though. And so
It
we got
was.
to the end, and I'm like, hey, the 3Ds, do you guys remember when we were looking at, I don't know if it was a Coke machine or
It was
something?
everything.
I'm like,
You
do
name
you
it.
remember when I was looking at your flamingo? I was
In the
like,
kitchen. It was
I'm
a
like,
cool, it
it
was
is
a cool,
so cool.
it wasn't
And
weird.
I can't see your house. So we got to make sure we clear all of this out. And you know what? You guys don't have to do this. This is what you guys don't have to do this if you don't want. But at the end of the day, you guys are paying me to help you get the very most money out of the house. So you guys decide if you guys want to leave the elk heads up, you can. But I found that it usually costs homeowners about $10,000 in value. So it's kind of up to you. So our pricing will be determined as to whether you guys want to do this.
And the wife was like, amen, we got it. She's a kitchen designer. She's like, we got it. And then when it was all done, we paid to have it clean, and people came through the house and they actually asked if it was a staged home because it looked so beautiful. And it was not
Most of the
staged,
time you can just use their stuff. You just
Yeah.
have to get, staging is getting rid of their stuff.
but it looked staged because they got rid of
So,
90% of everything. It
Couple
was
other
beautiful.
tricks that I steal from Clay on their team is as you're talking to him about walking through. So we walk through and go through, I find that about 50% of everything in people's houses actually has to come out. So as we're walking, I don't necessarily say it. And I'm like, yeah. And usually you should only have about 3 of anything in a room. So,
You said
that
it.
usually is like a bed and 2 nightstands. So I'm not sure if you guys have room, but maybe this dresser has to go out in the garage.
She said exactly this, by the way. It was a
Those
brutal
bookshelves,
walkthrough.
So we walked through, and then you know what I find, Seller, is we love model houses because nobody lives there, right? There's no toothbrushes, there's no socks and shoes or backpacks. So we have to make your house feel like that too. Because, you know, we just live in our house. The way we live in our house is different than the way we sell our house. So
But-
there's no judgment.
But you're right though, because my clients looked through a house in Tooele and they stopped looking because they kept looking at all their crap. And it
Well-
was actually a good house, but they couldn't look at the house
Or
because they
even
were
the good
looking at their stuff. Well, they were too busy looking at the stuff to look at the house, and we left because they
So
couldn't stop looking.
Rancid, I think it's Rancid. Is that who it is? Rancid had a house in our neighborhood. The drummer to there had a house in our neighborhood. And I went to show my clients. It's a $1.5 million house, right? You think it'd be so cool. Like, how great. Let's go look. And we walk in and he has all of his signed skateboards hanging on the wall in the living room. He has his record albums over here. And literally my clients are just like, and so these are the same stories I tell the seller. I'm like, super cool house. It wasn't junk, but I was like, hey guys, do you want to go check out the backyard? Like, do you want to come? And this is so cool. Like, that's all that happens. So you just got to depersonalize all of the kind of things like that.
Yes.
Cool. Good. Thanks for your help, freaking rock star. I would recommend that you actually write. We will get one that's posted, I'm sure. I'm like, you can transcribe whatever this is and then practice it, but write your own. If I was going to walk in, actually say, and with your own hand, write down, hi, thanks for having me over to list your house. Write it all out. It will help you tremendously. And then, as silly as it is, go home and actually practice it and knock on your door and be like, you have to actually practice saying, hey, do you mind if I set my stuff at your kitchen table while we go on the tour? Practice saying those words. The first time you go into that house, you're going to get that little like, I'm going to the kitchen table. Practice how you're going to present that listing agreement, your exclusive right to sell. Practice it a few times. So it's like, okay. And most of the time they called you. You guys are probably going to people's houses that already know, like, and trust you. They had you over. You're not going to a for sale by owner tomorrow. It's like, that might look a little different. Cool.
If you ever get stuck, just ask questions.
Good advice.
Because there'll be some times where you're like, I don't really know where to go with this. And so it's like you can dive deeper into motivation. What do you love about the house? Or what's some of your favorite memories, your neighborhood? Like, why would someone buy this house? Who's going to be the person that buys this house? Describe them to me. Like, I have a handful of questions that are just like my go-to, that are like top of mind. If I'm ever like, oh shoot, what do I do? What do I say next? I just ask a question. And then I pay enough attention that I know what they're saying, but then I can kind of formulate, okay, what's next in my mind? So have those be ready.
You guys can also choose. Are you okay to share?
Yep.
this back?
Yeah, have that.
Okay.
Do you want me to say-
I can share it to them. Awesome. That sounds good. So I will share their listing presentation with you guys as well. We'll send that in a follow-up email so you guys can see what that is. Some people will send this ahead of time. Some people bring it with them. To be honest, I have a packet. I don't go through the packet. We literally just talk about your motivation. We talk about where you're going. Why am I here? How can I help?
I can see why though it would be helpful as a new agent when it's like that next thing. Let's go over this.
Yes.
Because it just kind of keeps you on track.
That's
And
why I like it.
even like working through segmenting of like, okay, now we've gone, I'm going to talk about price, or I'm going to talk about what's important to you. We're going to talk about what you love about your house. We're going to talk about marketing, and we're going to talk about price. So then price usually is at the end for me anyways. And if I don't have an exact price, the market changes every day. We're not sure exactly where you're going to be. You'll always choose your price, but I'll give you a recommendation. Does that sound good? Because I hate being like narrowed into it, because it can change. I've had to where we've met with somebody and within 2 weeks, there has been 12 houses that hit the market in our same price point. And that
Especially if they're
impacts it.
out.
Yeah. And you just never know. And right now we're going to be going into heavy listing time. So it's not unusual from March 1st to May 1st that we have 100 houses hit the market every day in Utah County. Like, it can shift, it can change drastically. But if all the good ones go under contract and you're the best one that's on the market, you might get multiple offers. It's a different market we're in. It's just different. Yeah. And we have a couple other listing classes coming up. So I'm excited. I think you guys are going to be right on track. Thank you for your help. Hopefully this was helpful. Sometimes just even seeing how it can come together, and then you'll get to make it your own. This recording will come out and it'll be on our, probably, I don't know if this will be on our YouTube page, but this one, I'm worried because our sound hasn't been good. So that's why we did the second recording, and that was with these mics. So that's on Cameron's computer and he's going to send it to Ritz. And then he'll send it once we get everything ready to go. We'll send it in the follow-up email for today or maybe tomorrow. Oh, yes. Come on up. Burgundy, please join us because you are going to probably talk about a couple of tools and maybe net stuff.
Okay, so as a title company, either before you go on a listing or right after your listing appointment, you can get in touch with us and we can do a title report, a listing title report where you do not have buyers yet, but you can see everything that's recorded on the property so that you as agents are aware of what's on there. So that you know it's in a trust, or you know that they have 2 mortgages, or, and so that's something that we encourage you to do, is get a listing PR. And then when it does go under contract, is all we have to do is update with the buyer's information, and it takes an hour or 2. And then you're well within your seller disclosure deadline. And so it's really easy for us. So we do encourage you to do a listing PR. Yep, that is. Yep, Red Sign always emails me and we start the listing PR. Now, the other thing that we do, oh, I'm sorry, preliminary title report.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. I'm using lingo, I'm sorry. Okay. The other thing that I don't do this on every listing, but especially as new agents, it might be helpful for you. We do a seller net worksheet. And I should have done it for the one that you guys just went over. I just made numbers up.
No, I think it's great. I was just making numbers up too.
Okay.
So you can help put these together.
Yes. So you guys call me, you email me, you come into my office and say, I've got this listing. It's potentially we're going to list it for $450. What would the seller net? She's told me she owes $250. What would the seller net based on those numbers? And I made enough so that you guys could walk away with this, so that you can kind of see with the title insurance, with the commissions, with the home warranty, if the buyer asks for that, and an approximate mortgage payoff. This is exactly what they're going to walk away with. Even with a tax proration, because that's something that they get charged at closing too. So, get in touch with me and we can work this up for you. And then you have a really good idea of what the bottom line is going to be at the end.
Because the buyers want to know that.
Sellers.
Sellers.
Yeah, especially if, she knew that she needed to walk away with 200.
And they'll say that. They'll want to make this, but they're really, everybody's like, well, I guess I'm gonna have this, yeah,
'Cause
I
we had to
wanted
drop
to make
20 grand.
200.
Yeah.
But I'm okay here.
Well, this used to be really important. We used to be breaking even. We're losing money.
Mm-hmm.
And so they needed to know how much they needed to do, or could they even accept the offer because they didn't.
They didn't, yeah, they don't know if they even have enough to come in with money to close, and that's maybe not so much an issue anymore. I had a couple even last year though, that had to come in with 10,000 and 30,000 to close, I think.
If you're
But-
gonna do like quick, easy math, like
Your worst case scenario to sell a house is 10%. If someone was
Yes.
just going to do quick and dirty and you're like, oh, I'm stressed and I don't want to do it. You can tell people, you guys, our worst case scenario is it's 10%. It's not going to be that, but that would include 3% for buyers closing costs. It would include all of the brokerage fees. I usually will say that instead of commission. So that's all of the brokerage fees. and all the title and recording and everything else. So if your house is $300,000, our worst case scenario is 10% of that for the cost of selling it and your brokerage fees and things. So that would be $30,000. And you could quickly do that math to see if you would break even or what you'd be looking at. That's kind of like easy instead of being like, there's 6 here and you're so good in detail. I'm like, and because they either want to sell or they don't. The real reality is we sell. If we can make enough, we'll sell it. But most of the time, you either want to sell or you don't. It doesn't change the motivation that I freaking hated the neighbors who weren't going to help me think and put up a new fence. I was like, we got to get out of this place. So
to buy the lot, you wanted enough.
So that like realize that when we as agents get sometimes stuck in the nitty gritty of like, oh no, it's an extra $50 or $500 or $1,000, actually isn't. They either want to sell or they don't. We think it's about what they want to net, but those are the words they're saying. So always come back to motivation. Help them get to where they want to go. And if it works at 10%, it'll work for more. So this is our worst case scenario. So best case is it's not going to cost that much. We get multiple offers and you guys are going to walk away with more than that.
What would you have said if the buyer was like, oh, I've actually met with another agent and they told me I could sell it for 5?
They're making up numbers.
Yeah. And that's why I bring all the comps and I go through the numbers because I would say, great, I would love to sell your house for $500,000. I just need to convince buyers and an appraiser that that's what it's actually worth. So show me in all of these comps that are similar to you, how could I justify 500?
And you know what I might even say, you know what I have a problem with is ethically, it's not right for me to tell you your house is worth $500,000. That agent may be wanting to take that listing of yours and put a sign in your yard and pick up additional leads because they know they can't sell it at 500.
Yeah, and like Angie said, it's not our price. It's the market. We're trying to judge
And
what the
so
market
I
is.
totally get you. I've lost listings where people said, well, they told me they could sell it for that. I have one in my neighborhood that went through 2 other agents because she didn't like my market report. She hasn't sold it with either of them.
She wanted it higher.
She was unrealistic about the price and somebody told her it was okay. I'm like, and I'm okay that I didn't have like I was okay with that. And then she asked me advice on how to rent out her basement after all that.
Well, and
I was like,
I've seen funny things over the years. There used to be an agent in this office. He was a great agent and he would not list above the market value. Like if they were crazy and they said, I need to list it at 500, he would tell them no and walk out. But you know what happened to him multiple times where he changed his tune is he would see that house listed at 500, laugh at them, and then notice that they did a price reduction a week later to 450. Yep.
so, and a
And
lot of
so
times that same
he's
thing, like,
He said, what I'm going to do is if you want 500, I can give that to you. I advise against it, but we need to have a plan to get you to market value or I won't list it.
I think we were really good. We listed Eagle Mountain with Natalie's group higher than it was like teetering because we were like, there's not a lot of comparables. So it's like at the end of the day, you're going to decide on what your price is that you guys want to list at, but it's important that we listen to what the market is telling us. So if in the first 10 days, if we don't have any showings, we know we're listed too high, and I'm going to recommend that you guys drop the price. I just worry that we're going to miss the boat. If we decide to test the waters and see if we can get it, we have to not wait too long to improve on that price. We can't wait too long. So within the first 10 days, if we don't have an offer, just be ready that we need to talk about it. And
we have to do a $20,000 price drop. They almost got a heart attack, but they did it and then we sold it.
And you didn't pay concessions. It's just, the thing is that.
Can you repeat that question, Angie? Sorry.
It was just a comment about being able to reduce it quickly afterwards. And so I had one about the same time where she really wanted it listed. And even though we'd had a conversation, I'm like, it took me a long time to get there. And it's always hard. Same with our last Lehigh house. We should have listed at 565 and they wanted to be at 575. It's only the difference of 10,000. But literally, if we would have been and we finally accepted an offer at 545. If we would have been at 550, we would have had multiple offers going out. There's no question in my mind because we had so many showings. I think I had 25 showings on that house.
And buyers don't offer low. It's the weirdest thing. You could list at 450 and it should be at 440. Someone will walk through and be like, I'm not going
Eh.
to buy this house. It's too much money. It's like, well, why don't you offer what you think it's worth? Who knows?
So I was kind of asked that question on your houses. Do you think they would have offered? There is a point in time where you have to feel like it's the best value. Those buyers walking in have to feel like this is the best thing we looked at today, either through price or condition. They have to go, yep, this is the best. Get your sellers in a competition mindset. They are going into competition with all the other active listings on the market right now. How are you going to beat them? Price or condition, and I'll market the crap out of it.
Dumb question. How many pages are like your listing? How many pages are your listing and buyers thing? Because on here, there's like tons of pages. I just want to know how many Cameron's are.
20. No, I'll share. I'm happy to share mine. I don't have a ton of extra, but you can come up to my office and look at them. I just have a trifold that's printed on both front and back. So I have a total of 6 and they're this size, but they are 6.
17. Yeah. Well,
And
so there's different personality types, right? The disc profile, the D personality, they don't need to see anything in this and they won't care. The I personality also won't look at anything like this because they just want to be your friend. The S and the C, those are the people that want it. The C will gobble up all of the stats and anything that you have in this. And the S will like that you have a whole plan in place. And so it's really for the SC personalities, which is the greatest. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And so there's a bunch of random things like sellability tips. I didn't even mention a single one of these to Angie. There are pages of here that I don't do anything with. A lot of it is like, just in case, if I didn't get the listing, I'm leaving this either way. And who knows how much she'll go through. And the C personalities, the S personalities, they'll look through it and decide what else they have questions on and ask me and things.
I
Yeah.
personally like to also up at the desk, they have red folders. I know the black ones look all slick and nice. I love the red ones. It is so cool to go back into somebody's house a year later and your red folder is on their bookshelf because they didn't want to throw it away and they can find it.
Yes, bring it in.
I personally love the red ones. They are like,
Yeah, so
It's a
in my
dollar, worth
prep,
every dollar.
I would print whatever your listing appointment is, whatever your comps are, if you're going to do it my way. Like some people come with a price, but I like to let them choose the price. Print the agreement and put all of that in a folder.
so one other thing you could do to practice on the comps, if you're going to bring paper ones, either way, get comfortable looking at these. And you might even have certain items on here highlighted that are similar to their house. What year is it built? How many bedrooms, square footage, things you want to highlight, or get comfortable enough that you can read it upside down and do it. But my recommendation is just pre-highlight it so that when you go here, you can go, great. So how many bedrooms is that? Oh, that's more than yours? Okay. And what did they sell at? Oh, and then what did they list at? And a lot of times if I have it highlighted, I make them tell me and they can go, oh, so this one was for less. And it was so cool that he found one that was for more because I think that's a huge highlight of like, see, sometimes it does sell for more if it's priced right. Good. Awesome.
And you can
guys.
print off pictures as well. Sometimes I'll do that.
And I don't.
I usually don't, to be honest. I'll look through all the pictures.
I do actually send them. We were talking about earlier. I'll send them or have them on my screen. So like the Cloud CMA already has them. So sometimes I'll have my computer to show pictures because there's some real value in being like, so is this, and I just ask, so is this kitchen better than your kitchen? I don't tell them. I'm like, so what do you think of this yard? Is this one better or worse than your yard? And I let them self-discover. Oh no, mine is better. Yeah, yours is. Or yeah,
I
their
had
kitchen's
clients
nicer.
pull up each address on a map to see where they were. Because they
Oh,
were like,
really?
in a neighborhood kind of right by Bangor Highway. And they were in a place where it was like kind of far away, but all of the comps were like next to a train track or things like
Uh-huh.
that. So They're like, oh, no, Trax is literally their backyard. They are worse than us.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, oh, they're just like us because they're kind of in the middle. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
And they
helping
decided
them
the price.
understand that, that's what's so cool about this is that it's like, oh, they have more bedrooms or they have more bath. They are bigger than me. Or no, I really am better. And getting them to understand like that's how we determine it.
And they will, yeah.
She's looking on to see how many people were looking at Zillow. She was looking at every single tiny, minute detail, and she texts me.
So
that was
you-
my Eagle Mountain down, was looking at every detail, and I was like,
And it's super easy to share that stuff with them too. So I do find like once we go under, we need to have, I'll keep an eye out, you guys. You guys will have Ignite seller classes, but there's an advanced seller class that is taught. We're doing it first quarter, but I don't know the date. It's a full day seller class. So good. That's where so much of like, the thing is, you guys just aren't ready for that today, to be honest. It's like, this is good. Now you're going to go through Ignite seller classes. Keep going to them. The full day long seller class, I think I've taken 8 times.
I think it's in February. By Clay.
I have to
Is
look
that
at
the
that.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't positive that Clay had agreed to teach it. If he's teaching it, make sure you go.
Yeah.
It's so good. But like, even though I've gone to it once, I will go again and go again, especially when Clay teaches it, because you're learning about what he's doing today, how the market's changed today. 3 years ago, I remember he would make people, it was so fierce. So there's this active time clause that you can put on the MLS that allows the seller to continue to show the house until the buyer takes all contingencies off. That usually happens if they have to sell a house. Clay is the only person I have ever met that did that and put it that way until you removed like your due diligence contingencies and your appraisal contingencies. And like, he was so fierce, but I would have never thought, I would have never thought to do it that way. So it was such a cool thing to sit in his class and go, how are you working in today's environment? And I got to hear and have the backside of it and see how he was operating today, even though like, it's just cool.
Well, and that's seller financing.
You can't do that right
wasn't
now.
part of our presentation until a year ago because everyone was getting rates like in the 3s. It didn't make sense. But now if you have a 3% rate and you look and it's a 6.5% rate, you could probably make money and still get a down payment. And so like, that's a conversation we have now. And so he dives deep into all of that stuff. It's good.
That's awesome. So good. Appreciate it. Thanks so much, you guys. Yep. Bye, guys on Zoom.